My name is John Silvester. I'm a reporter with the Age newspaper. Some people call me Sly of the Underworld. There are 5 million crime stories in the naked city, and this is one of them. For Joy Membrey, it was another long journey with a bitter end, this time from her home on the Gippsland coast to the coroner's court at Southbank. For more than 30 years, Joy, and before he died in 2023, Roger, have been hunting for answers over the 1994 murder of their daughter, Elisabeth.
Police fear Elisabeth was murdered in her Bedford Road flat after returning from part-time work at the nearby
Police say she was almost certainly murdered. The only lead, a blue Holden sedan.
Blood had been cleaned up in the flat. Detectives
Elisabeth
believe her
Membrey,
body was taken away in her red
aspiring
Mazda.
journalist who worked part-time as a barmaid. She disappeared from her home in 1994.
There have been false dawns. First, they were told by police they found a red-hot suspect. After a protracted undercover operation, he was cleared. Then they charged the wrong man, and in 2012, Shane Bond was acquitted by a Supreme Court jury.
One of Victoria's most baffling murder mysteries is no closer to being solved after a jury found Shane Andrew Bond not guilty of the 1994 murder of Elisabeth Membrey.
Shane Bond was charged with her murder. His trial lasted some 2 months. A jury has spent...
He said while he drank at a pub where Membrey worked, he didn't know her and didn't believe he'd even spoken to her.
Did you murder Elisabeth Membrey?
No, I didn't.
Is that the truth?
Yes.
Do you want me to believe that?
Yes.
Can you tell me
The Membreys were left bruised by the acquittal and the court process. Both felt they were there to represent their daughter but came away feeling they were seen as nuisances who should have just sat there and shut up.
What can we say? We're just so stunned.
Yes.
We just can't believe it.
Yeah. Look,
Didn't expect this
suppose
at
in
all.
some respects, you know, our battle's not over. It might still be continuing.
It's not the end. We're not giving up.
No.
Something will happen.
In 2017, the case was quietly reopened and a new suspect, briefly a person of interest in the initial investigation, Andrew Crump, was identified. We are recording, so Joy,
Yes,
I've known you for many years under terrible, terrible circumstances.
yes, yes.
So take us back. Elisabeth went missing more than 30 years ago in 1994.
That's right.
How did you know she was gone?
Roger and I hadn't heard from her all day, so we went to her unit in the evening. Her window to her bedroom was wide open, so we came around and got in, and then we saw all this blood everywhere. And we thought that she might have had hemorrhaged or had an accident. We searched everywhere. Roger searched all the hospitals, and then it looked very dangerous, so we called the police and they came. I personally, if I'm allowed to say this, feel that this particular person would have had some help because there was so much blood all over a mattress, big circle when out the passageway. To my personal feelings, he had someone to help him because he wasn't a very astute sort of person and, you know, all the blood that was there. So it was a very, very cruel death. She would have fought for her life. She was a very calm, decent person, but she would have fought to the last breath. She really did.
When the case was reopened in 2017, police focused their attention on Andrew Crump. He was the brother of Elisabeth's housemate, obsessed with Membrey, with a history of stalking. Police told Joy and Roger of the breakthrough and this time told them to stay silent so the investigation could continue in secret. Andrew Stamper, long career, a lot of it the sharp end homicide, and you spent a great deal of time with the suspicious missing persons, which is, paraphrasing your word, a burden and a privilege to deal with these cases. But part of the job is the cold cases. How do you look at a cold case and decide that's one we want to delve into?
Well, there's a process. There's a process that was developed a number of years ago where cases are reviewed and, basically put a current contemporary investigational lens over an old case and see if there is, there are opportunities to apply new technologies. I mean, some of those cases where there has been an identified suspect, sometimes the passage of time can be a really good opportunity because either that individual thinks that, they've got away with it so they can let the guard down a little bit, or alternatively, as we do quite regularly now, is put $1 million reward on some of these cases, and that's the big incentive. I mean, $1 million ain't what it used to be, but it still solves a lot of headaches for a lot of people.
Every cold case that I've seen is an open case. So we come to Elisabeth Membrey. This case gets reopened, I think it was 2017, but there'd been a person charged and acquitted. So normally, as I understand it, the case is considered closed, even though, because somebody's been charged.
Yeah.
So why reopen the case?
Well, and again, I want to be careful with this one because this is still an active case and I believe it's still solvable. But a number of questions I think that were still apparent either at the end of that trial or became apparent from a review when that individual was acquitted. And a lot of it related to DNA and of course we're going back to a time when DNA was probably in 94 was certainly in its infancy, I think, and there's been a lot of advances in DNA. So my understanding is it was about some outstanding DNA samples that were located and tested against persons that had been, involved or in Elisabeth's sphere.
Police say they have a dozen reasons to suspect Crump. Police allege his DNA was found inside Membrey's Mazda, the car used to dispose of the body. He said he was once asked to move the car, a claim his sister, Membrey's housemate, denied. It's alleged he made multiple comments about the case to friends over the years that could be interpreted as admissions such as, Liz is in a safe place and they won't find the body. There's a lot of bush around there. His reason for being across the road from the victim's house around the time of the murder has been proven to be false. While there were 2 cars in the drive, Crump knew his sister had broken her ankle and was staying with her boyfriend and knew Membrey was home alone. He was an accomplished burglar and stalker. Crump, an excavator operator, told a friend around the time of the murder that he needed to fill a hole in a remote area. Within days, he left Victoria to move to Queensland. On the trip, a woman found a black leather woman's wallet in the car. The woman had told police he said it belonged to Liz. Membrey's black leather wallet was never found. The week before, he turned up unannounced and Membrey refused to let him in. He claimed when he returned a stack of CDs, he used the toilet. At the crime scene, the toilet paper and holder were missing. If his DNA was found, he would have had an answer. He is a convicted rapist. At least 6 friends and family have contacted police nominating Crump as the killer. The Membreys, Joy and Roger, the parents, just wonderful people. They'd had to live through being told by police, once they got a suspect. Then secondly, when a person's convicted, we know who did it. And now, thirdly, out of the blue, you come back and say, forget all that. We think it's somebody else. So how do you reinvestigate a case like that?
Well, to quote a famous quote, you start at the beginning, I think. I think that's, having done a number of cold cases in my period, you pretty much go back to the start. You go back to the crime scene. You review all the witnesses. and you go through the evidence that is collected in fine detail. A review like that, in a case not only where the initial investigation was so intense, and then to go through a trial as well. So, you'd have to review all of that evidence too from the trial. That takes a long time. But generally speaking, and particularly with a case like Elisabeth, you kind of put things in place, things that take a long time, and then it might, just go back on the shelf for a little while, but you're waiting on results of inquiries or investigations to come back, and then you're working on something else in that period of time. But a case like this, I know the work that was done on the review of this case was enormous. And again, it was done in the context of in-between active cases too.
Yeah, we're all geniuses in hindsight, but the old, saying that the answer's in the file. Crump was the brother of the woman who shared the unit with Elisabeth. The two young women had for some years danced together and learnt dance and so on. And he, that is the brother, seemed to be attracted / obsessed to Elisabeth. And his sister, the housemate, had broken her ankle and was not staying at the place.
Correct.
Staying with her boyfriend. So Crump knew Elisabeth would be home
alone, yeah.
Yeah.
And he put himself at the scene as well. So
yeah, because he said, I was across the road.
Put himself at the scene and to actually provide an explanation of what he saw and what he was doing there.
Yeah, he said, I was going to see a hairdresser friend and I looked across the road and I saw two men leave.
Could have been bikies.
Yeah, so he's laying off if he's seen in the area. Now, he said he went to see his sister and she wasn't there, and he asked if he could use the toilet, which Elisabeth said yes. Now, in the crime scene, I think the toilet roll was missing, and he used toilet paper to try and clean up the scene. So again, he's writing himself into it to say if there's fingerprints there, I know I was there using a toilet for what it's for.
Yeah. No, there's a number of very pertinent questions, I think, around Crump's involvement in that matter.
We know Elisabeth's car was used to remove her body. So he said, I moved the car. So that if there's fingerprints or DNA, that's why.
Yeah.
But his own sister said, he never moved my car, let alone her car.
Yeah. And Elisabeth didn't like him. She had a real dislike of him, and for that reason, Crump's sister said it was just impossible that she would have let him move her car.
Daughters do confide in their mothers, and this particular person she did not like. I think he was a bit younger than her, and she wasn't interested at all. So she would not open the door to him, and she definitely would not let him. I had a vivid dream about this, which might sound silly, but she never let anybody drive her car, get in her car. It was very precious, and probably knew about that. So he would have, in my opinion, driven the car with her remains in it. She was a rather astute young woman. She had a very good brain. She went to uni and got her degree, and she was quite a deep girl and with her thinking and very intelligent, and she used to confide in me. And being a mother, you can pick up certain signs with your children, and yes, she didn't tell me too much, but all the vibes were there. All the situations seemed to gel, and that person seemed to fit all the, all the situations that it could be this person.
Days after the murder, he's decided to move to Queensland.
Yeah, within a short proximity of time, he's literally just just picked up his belongings and taken off and drove into the sun and not come back.
Investigators found the bloke who shared the drive to Queensland and said Crump insisted on driving past Elisabeth's house on the way, and a woman made a statement that she was in the car and found a black female purse. He reckons he handed it in at a police station, but it's the same type as Elisabeth's purse.
Yeah. And again, the passage of time, we have to contextualise things. In 1994, we didn't have the level of community surveillance that we have now and digital tracking that's open to investigators. So those kind of things now could be quite quickly shown to be untrue.
And the sort of thing with that is, because the shops are across the road, this is a case that entirely probably would have been solved in 48 hours, because you would have just seen a car, a plate.
There'd be cameras there. Yeah.
And I think people don't understand that we talk of DNA as though it's like a fingerprint, but DNA is involved over. So there was a sample there that couldn't be identified. Yeah. And we've got better and better and better.
Yeah. Yeah, so the science around DNA has improved significantly in that, 30 years since.
When a brief of evidence was put to the Office of Public Prosecutions, it was found to fall short. Plus, Crump may well have been found mentally unfit to stand trial.
Time hasn't been kind to him, and for various reasons, he's not in a good physical or mental state, let's say.
In early 2023, Detective Sergeant Maury Ryan wrote to the coroner's office asking for the 2000 inquest to be set aside and a new one held to examine the evidence gathered on Crump. Coroner John Kane said it wasn't strong enough to launch a new inquest. He said it just fell short. It was a day of disappointment for Joy Membrey.
There's been another heartbreaking blow for the grieving mother of murdered Ringwood woman Elisabeth Membrey.
The coroner's court judge said fresh information presented to him by police into her daughter Elisabeth's 1994 disappearance had many inconsistencies and contradictory pieces of evidence.
Put it to rest and move on with the last few years. So that's what I was hoping for. I'm very upset, very upset. I just give up for the time being. But you never say die.
Kane, a compassionate man, went out of his way to sympathise with the family. He said, "I have concluded that the evidence falls just short of the coronial standard of proof, and I am therefore unable to find that Mr. Crump caused or contributed to the death of Ms. Membrey."
To put it mildly, I was a bit strange for a couple of days or 2 or 3 days afterwards. I was just so devastated that we were almost there, just about. We just need that extra, that if he has a mental illness, there should be a new law or a law that he can still somehow be questioned. And, a mental illness should be not conclusive. He should be able to still stand up and give evidence, in my opinion, because it's got to be done, it's got to be solved.
We'll be right back after the break. While you're here, why not subscribe to The Age or Sydney Morning Herald? Serious journalism costs, and we are serious journalists. Most of us, anyway.
We went to the DPP, and I know that they absolutely looked at it with rigour and were absolutely aware of the enormity of the importance of this matter. And unfortunately, in their view, and I understand their view, that it just wasn't enough, and that was subsequently borne out by the coroner as well in this case. There was other issues with the case, which, again, I don't want to go into because I still believe this is an active investigation with a possibility of being solved.
Yeah, so your people not being able to charge Crump did the next best thing and took it to inquest to see whether it could be re-examined. Coroner John Kane said there's not enough to get Crump to give evidence and it falls short. But pivotally, he said just short.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a very telling finding, yeah.
Because there's multiple witnesses who have half-baked admissions from Crump that's saying, like he was, I think, a bulldozer driver and he borrowed a bulldozer around that time. He spoke of her saying they won't find her. She's in the bush. She's in a, quote, safe place. She's in a river. So he's made admissions along the way. Guaranteed there'll be others. And there's $1 million reward.
Absolutely right. And that's why I say that I still think this is potentially solvable. And, you know, I say that mindful that these words could potentially provide additional hope to the family, and so I'm very guarded in that, but I still think there is. I think there are people out there that do know still, and particularly people who are very close to Andrew Crump, who do know exactly what happened. And as you say, there's $1 million on the table. And that can solve a lot of headaches for everybody. What I would like to say is that these cases never go away, and they do weigh heavily on the investigators, and certainly all of the people I work with, and I know, you know, most of the people that are still out there now feel a great deal of responsibility to these cold cases. And I know it's very often hear in the media of, you know, the police have given up hope or don't care, and that's not the case. The sad fact is there's a lot of work to be done, and things do shift in terms of priorities from time. You know, with people in Joy's situation and, you know, and Roger, the greatest fear that they have at you know, coming towards the end of their life is who's going to carry the torch? Who's going to continue the work? Because we fought for 30 years to get answers, to find our daughter, to bring her home. Who's going to do that? I really feel for Roger, someone that had carried the torch for Elisabeth all of the time that she was missing, and that he went to his grave not knowing what happened to her. So I know that Joy will be experiencing those thoughts. So, you know, this is an opportunity to appeal to those people to stop this torture.
By the time police were confident, really for the third time, poor Roger probably wasn't in a fit state to really comprehend what had happened.
No, the poor man, he was absolutely devastated with her loss. He was in a dementia ward and he used to walk around crying with a photograph of Elisabeth. And yes, he absolutely adored her, and so did I. You know, it was a dream come true to have a daughter, though I loved the boys very dearly and did my best as a mother. So her loss has been devastating.
Roger was just a wonderful man. He would ring me just before every Christmas just to wish me and the family all the best. And if people were silly enough to give me an award or anything like that, the first person on the phone would be Roger. And the two of you were an absolute force of nature to make sure this case was never, ever shelved.
Yes. I don't want to die and not know what happened to Elisabeth, and not to know where she is one of the hardest things, because with human society, we have to bury our dead to have some sort of closure. So I've got a grave ready. She'll be underneath if we find her remains, which is a very critical part of human relationships, to have her buried. So that's important. Somebody definitely knows, and for, you know, how that person has kept going or keeping it at such a secret for 30 years. That's a heck of a long time. I've gone from from middle age, shall we say, to old age, which is hard going. It's a terrible situation to be in. So, if somebody does know something small, they might think, oh, that's not worth reporting. But, every little, information does help. And you, John, have been amazing with your very intuitive nature and everything. And Roger and I always spoke, and I still speak extremely highly of you. And so you've been a real friend in need.
Well, we're going to close here, although I'd like to go on and get more compliments, but more power to you. And
to you, John, good luck.
We'll talk soon.
Okay, thanks a million.
Thanks, Joy.
Thank you. Bye.
Coroner John Kane said the evidence just falls short. One phone call could change that. This episode is reported by me and produced by a jet, Julia Carcatzel, mixing by the ever-reliable Cormac Lally, and our chief button pusher, of course, is Tammy Mills. Thanks to Tom McKendrick and Lisa Muxworthy.